Good morning. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. It's about 10:30 a.m. on the East Coast. This is Robson at CEO Technician on X, Goldfinger on CEO.ca, Goldfinger Capital on YouTube and Substack. Um, so Memorial Day weekend, Friday through Monday, I went on a trip out to Idaho. So I live in Florida, went all the way to Idaho to visit Hercules Silver and really see this project that has captivated my attention since October of 2023. I think site visits are very important um, for investors, to really see the context of a project. Context is key in life and in mining. Seeing the lay of the land, talking to people, um, is valuable, and also say that a lot of site visits, eh, you know, uh, you're generally, especially with an early stage project, you're just gonna see open land. You might see a drill rig. Um, in certain areas of the American West, it's just flat, sort of barren ground. So there's not a whole lot to see, but it still adds context. Um, and then going to an operating mine, you have to go through all the safety protocols, you have to wear all the PPE, and it's noisy. And yeah, I mean, it's good to go to see what's happening, but once you've seen a couple, you know, it's not always that interesting. Okay, just being honest. Okay, maybe some people love going to operating mines, and it's the greatest thing on earth for them. But just my experience. But something really new and interesting in an area of the US I haven't been to. I'd never been to Idaho. Been to like 30 states, never been to Idaho. I'm wearing the Hercules Silver hat. I'm gonna just take it off because I don't need to wear a hat for this video. Um, but I just wanted to show that. I guess the company's going to change names to Hercules Metal soon, so maybe this will be very valuable someday. Yeah. So before we get into Hercules, I want to talk about some stuff. Just about junior mining and drill programs. I mean, I see a lot of investor comments, and just being honest, this is just me just being totally candid. The CEO.ca channel has become um, very noisy for Hercules. And I really don't enjoy it anymore. And that's sad for me to say that because there was a time when I really did enjoy the banter and the sharing of DD. But I think the fact that the share price, has been trading in a range, there's been a lot of false starts, and it's grinding on people's nerves. And everybody's grasping for information, some sort of edge, and I get it. I get that. I'm an investor in the sector, and I've been through plenty of drill programs before, some that went well, some that I made money with, and some that really didn't go well and I lost money on, right? And that's just the nature of the beast. It's just the nature of the sector. It's a high risk sector, okay? And especially during a drill program, right? Some things can go right. They can drill great intercepts. They can make new discoveries. But things can also go wrong, right? Things can go wrong. Things can take longer than planned. Rigs can break down. Who knows? There's lots of things that can go wrong. I mean, this business is tough, and I think anybody who's been around for a while knows that this business is tough. And during a drill program, you can just expect that unforeseen challenges will arise. You just have to adjust and and do your best, right? Um, and that's not nothing anything about Hercules. I'm just speaking generally. I own a bunch of stocks like VR. American Eagle, a lot of companies that are in drill programs right now, right? So I'm speaking generally. Um, also, the timing of news, right? So there's an unrealistic expectation among many investors on the timing of news flow. So, let's say drilling starts on a project May 1st. You can sometimes take a month to drill a hole. I know that's pretty slow, but let's say 2 to 3 weeks on average. Then they have to log the core, they have to cut it, sample it, bag it, send it to the lab, ship it to the lab, and then the lab does its thing, right? And lab turnaround times can be anywhere from 3 or 4 weeks to 8 to 10 weeks, all depending upon what's going on with them and how busy they are, right? So, first assays from a drill hole, probably the most optimistic timeline is 6 to 7 weeks, and that's really fast. Generally, you're looking at 3 months, right? And so, just because the company is drilling doesn't mean like there's a news release with results and a new discovery around the corner. I mean, this could take 3 months. Um, so you have these investors who are just constantly in need of stimulus and just it's like this is not a basketball game. Where we're getting scoring constantly and updates on the score constantly, and then there's another basketball game that comes on. This is not what this is. Like, this is slow process, and it requires some patience, and it just requires, like, look, if I'm going to invest in this, I have to be comfortable with my risk and be totally accepting that things could go wrong. That's just the nature of the beast, right? And if you're not psychologically and emotionally equipped to handle that, you just shouldn't be playing in this sector, or at least not in early stage, right? Like, go get a producer where you don't have to worry about a drill program and what the results are going to be, because they're actually generating cash flow. It's more important what their mining, um, their ability to mine efficiently and cost effectively is, right? And then you can analyze that on financial statements, right? You don't really need to go on a site visit to a fully permitted mine. You get a lot of public disclosure. You can look at Google Earth to see where it is and the lay of the land, right? Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long and too far fetched, but I feel like there's unrealistic expectations among a lot of people for timing of news. And then even after the assets come back, they have to be interpreted by the company. The news has to be written. They have to write the news, release and publish it, right? So this is a lengthy process. And so let's talk about Hercules right now. So we know it's 20,000 meter drill program, fully funded. They have plenty of cash. Chris has said, we're going to drill pretty deep into the year, probably Thanksgiving or maybe even past it, right? So there's going to be news flow for a long time to come, but the drill program just started a month ago, right? So Chris, in his last conversation with me, said, look, probably first assays 3 months after the start of drilling. So, you know, 3 months. So, we're waiting. And because this is a more serious drill program, larger one, I mean, it's going to be like 25 to 30 drill holes. It makes no sense to release assays one hole at a time or two holes at a time, right? You can pretty much assume that this is going to be batched like 4 to 6 holes at a time, and they'll do 5 or 6 updates on the results throughout the drill program, right? And these updates will be going into 2025 because they're going to drill so far into the season, right? Um, so that's just me, because it's just been bothering me a little bit. And frankly, it's not fun to be me sometimes. And actually, after this video, I'd like to take a step back and not comment as much. I'm just gonna sit on my hands and wait for an update from the company. I've got my position. I've accumulated it over the last several months. I haven't bought or sold anything on Monday or this morning. Um, my visit makes my view on the company and the promise of the drill program unchanged. I was bullish, I'm optimistic, and I still am. Okay. So I just please, respect me, when I say that. Okay. I'm making this video. I'm putting out all this content from my visit publicly for free, and I would just ask that you lay off me for a little bit. Okay. It hasn't been fun to be me the last couple weeks. Um, so over Memorial Day weekend, I spent 4 days traveling to and from Idaho to visit Hercules Silver in the town of Cambridge. I thoroughly enjoyed the visit. And honestly, a piece of me fell in love with this part of Idaho. And what I mean by that is I really enjoyed the drive from Boise up to Cambridge and this area of Idaho, that this southwestern slice. Um, and I mean, the topography, the scenery, landscape, the people. These are kind of small town folks, and it's a slice of America that I haven't really seen in a while. You know, when I was a kid, I went to a military academy in Alabama for a year of school. I got a slice of good old American pie there in Alabama. But I was born in New York City, right? So I'm a city guy. I live in a city in Florida, right? So I haven't really experienced this slice of America for a while, and I enjoyed it. Okay, so that's just me saying I really like Idaho, and it's funny that it took me to age 44 to actually get there. The project shows very well, right? I don't know how many site visits I've been on, but it's at least a couple dozen. And the project shows very well. Sometimes I go on a site visit and thoughts start getting into my head during the visit that this isn't going to work. There's something that's not going to work about the location of the project, the feasibility of it, the it just stuff starts to crop up into my mind. Okay, like water access. Um, but this one shows very, very well. Okay, I even saw the scout team at Brownlee, so they camp at Brownlee and they go up on Cuddy Mountain. They're active, right? So this area is now very active. End of May, a lot of different companies that have staked in the area are doing work, right? They're doing field work, they're doing mapping, they're doing IP. There's a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. The locals love it. All the business owners, this is a huge stimulus to the town of Cambridge, the town of Weiser. Um, they love it. Okay. Um, I spoke with half a dozen, maybe a couple more people at local restaurant, cafe, motel, including the person who drove me from the airport as a local. Very much in favor of what Hercules is doing and what other companies are doing in the area, right? And so the key is that these companies, whether it's Nevgold, whether it's Scal, whether it's Hercules, continue to respect the locals and understand that they are there under permission, essentially, of the people in the area. They need to respect the environment, they need to respect the local people, and they need to act in a responsible um, manner, right? And so that's going to be really key, right? And that's going to be very key to continue to generate trust from the community, right? It's very important. So Hercules is busy drilling 24/7, 3 core rigs. And as I said, I think they're going to go to Thanksgiving. So that's end of November in the US, maybe beyond. We'll see. Okay. And this is something to understand. There's not like a drill plan right now. There's not a drill plan set in stone. Like the company's not like, we're going to drill 27 holes and these are where the holes are going to be. This is how deep they're going to be. No, it's a process and they're learning as they go and they're planning the next set of holes as they go. This is not set in stone by any stretch. The number of meters is roughly 20,000, right? So some of my favorite pictures from the visit. This is a mystery wall. So this is clearly from the 1880s or 1870s even, and it's obviously man-made unless it was made by aliens. Along Camp Creek Road, and it's just like, huh, what is this, right? Now we know there was a mill. The Belmont Mill was located somewhere in this area, although nobody knows exactly. There was no GPS in the 1880s. There was no internet, right? But this is just very interesting, right? And like just walking around this area, you see some bricks as you go uphill. So you're coming down from Belmont and you're coming down to Camp Creek downhill. It's possible that they were mining up here at Belmont and then somehow they had a transportation system downhill to come to this place and they assembled the ore here maybe and then took it to the mill. Don't know, like nobody knows. Beautiful scenery, right? Like this is along Camp Creek Road. This is near Belmont, but a little farther east. Really beautiful, just picturesque. Um, and this is so this is interesting. So this is in this area that's covered down here. So it's somewhere down here in this cover overlooking Oregon. So we're looking west here. So this is the Hercules house. They're cutting core. They're logging core over here, and this is Warren Pratt, a geo porphyry expert. Chris Paul, the CEO, and they're talking about hole 2321 in this picture. Warren's been doing a lot of mapping and even like some it sounds to me like again like this is my take, this is not from the company, this is my interpretation, so some of the stuff I say may not be 100% accurate, but this is just my take on it. It sounds like they're relogging some of these holes from last year. There's like some new interpretations ongoing. They're constantly learning. And this is the core from hole 2321. So I wanna make a point here. I posted this tweet and there was some confusion. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Oh, but the core boxes are 23, 26. So why are you saying hole 21?" Well, you see this core box at the top, that's polished core, and that's hole 21. And they're talking about hole 21. So even though these boxes are from hole 26, Warren was still working on hole 21. And these are two more geos. This guy, I think both of these guys are actually from Barrick. Okay, so they're the seconded geos from Barrick. Super smart guys. There's a lot of brain power being brought to fore here at Hercules this year. These guys are. I mean, again, I've been on more than a couple dozen site visits. I've probably talked to over 100 geos in my life. These guys are super sharp, like the sharpest I've ever seen, right? So they are talking about hole 21, right? There's no mistakes in this tweet. I do know what I'm talking about some of the time. Um, so here's the polished core from hole 2321. Okay, so let's talk about it. So right, you're driving up from Boise, you fly into the Boise airport. By the way, Boise is a beautiful city. Beautiful. It's like a smaller city. It's like a quarter million population. It's the state capital, though. All the buildings are new, or most of them are. A lot of it's a tech hub now. Um, I'm telling you guys, I might move out there. I don't know. It's cheaper. The air is cleaner. Food is better. People are nicer. I don't know. It's pretty good. Um, So Cambridge is very supportive of the project. Remember, they had the town hall meeting at the end of last year. Really went well. Got a lot of positive feedback from that. They are definitely putting a big injection of money into the local economy. The drill program is moving along nicely. I have some videos of me driving with Chris on Sunday talking about that. So you'll see those. Likely to add a fourth rig soon. It's going to be an RC rig for pre-callers, right? Because the thing is that they know the rhyolite in the upper plate very, very well, right? Like they understand this rhyolite. There's so many holes into it. They don't really need to get core from the upper plate anymore, right? They've got a very good handle on the upper plate. It's the lower plate that they need the core and they need to see really what's going on. Um, so RC rig to get down to about 200 meters or 250 meters, and then you bring in uh, the core rig with the smaller diameter core. Okay, so it can go faster. Now, a new interpretation is definitely at hand here, and you can see that the this porphyry target that was outlined by the 2022 3D IP is dipping to the north. Obviously, you can see that it's dipping to the north, but it's dipping actually to the northwest is what the new interpretation is. So it's dipping sort of like this way. Let's see, do they have another one with the geophysics? Okay, I guess that they don't here. But you can see, I mean, it pretty much just looks like this, right? Here's the target potential porphyry ore body, and it's dipping as you go to the north towards Frog Pond, towards Hercules Adit, and it's actually dipping off to the northwest into the Brownlee Formation. Okay, so the if the so and I should have actually brought up a porphyry model. Let's see if this has it in it. Okay, well, this is, this will do. But let's say a vertical cylinder, right? You can just pull up any porphyry model with a Google search. There's tons of them, and maybe I'll post it later. But it's a vertical cylinder. But what if it got knocked over on its side, east to west, and it was tilted at some angle, whether it's 30 degrees, 45 degrees, or maybe even as extreme as 90 degrees? It's tilted on its side, right? So the ore body would be different shape than you would expect in a typical vertical porphyry cylinder, right? So you'd have to then adjust. Well, okay, so where are the ore zones if it's tilted on its side, potentially to the northwest, right? And it would also make some of the stuff we're seeing in the geophysics and the chargeability and the conductivity, it would make some of it make more sense, right? It would put pieces of the puzzle together a little bit better, but it's still, there's a lot of mystery still here. Okay, this is by no means perfectly well understood. Okay, far from it. They're going to have to drill whatever 25 to 30 holes this year. Then they're going to have to spend the off season interpreting and understanding it, and then they'll surely have a much better handle on it after this year, but maybe there'll have to be a whole nother year of drilling to really figure out all the mysteries of the Leviathan. Okay. But one of my key takeaways, and really I knew this before, it's just reaffirmed it, is that the real target area is this target corridor, this porphyry corridor, where you have the transition from strong, really high chargeability, which is pyrite, um, to moderate chargeability, which is less pyrite and likely to be higher chalcopyrite, bornite, chalcocite. Okay, and the ore zones of a porphyry will have less total sulfides than the sort of like phyllic part of it. Okay, the phyllic will have very high amounts of pyrite and show up as very high chargeability. But also, this is a more complicated system because there seems to be multiple events that have happened here and overprinting, potentially different porphyry centers, multiple porphyry centers overprinting each other. Okay, this is complicated. This is not just like textbook. Here's the porphyry. It's vertical. It's a cylinder. Here's the ore shell. Here are the different zones: the sericitic, the phyllic, the potassic. Bingo, you got it all figured out. No, this is not that. There's been so much plate tectonics, so much shifting of the earth in this area of Idaho that it's a little complicated, but it does make sense to me that look, it's basically going south to Belmont and getting closer to surface down here, and then it's getting deeper and dipping to the northwest over by Hercules at it and even maybe bending over towards Great Creek. And it's also possible, okay, so either it's one big porphyry system, or maybe there's a couple or maybe even three porphyry centers, just spitballing here. And nobody told me this on the visit. This is just me speculating. Maybe Great Creek is a center because it's this really strong mag anomaly. Maybe Belmont is a center. And maybe there's even a smaller center somewhere in the middle, or maybe, because you have two centers, this center area has been overprinted with multiple pulses by each of the centers, and that makes it, that's where hole 2305 was drilled, right? And that makes the copper sulfide stronger. That sort of hypogene, enrichment layer, um, so strong in certain holes, holes 21, um, holes 5, obviously, hole 8. Um, so the porphyry corridor is still likely the best area. And right now, they are stepping down towards Belmont. Okay, so they started holes 1, 2, 3 here, and they're working their way down towards Belmont. Okay, I don't know how many holes they're going to drill on the way there. I don't know how many holes they're going to drill at Belmont. I don't know any of those details. I don't know if the first 3 holes have been sent off for assaying. Don't know any of that stuff. Didn't see any core from any of the new holes, so don't ask me that. I just know they're stepping down towards Belmont, and they really, really like Belmont, and they also really like Grade Creek. But key detail: Grade Creek is on Forest Service claims, right? So they're going to drill here on their state-owned, um, with grandfathered surface rights down here at Belmont first, and then later in the program, maybe midsummer, maybe a little later in the summer, they will drill a bunch of holes up by Great Creek. They've got a lot of drill collars planned for up in this area to test it thoroughly because it does look really good, but um, Belmont is a very prime area of focus, and you see the copper soils down here are really impressive down by Belmont and down to Camp Creek. Um, there's an interpretation that hole 21 was actually drilled into the potassic, but it entered a dike where the copper sulfides weren't as strong. Maybe they had been leached out of that at some point, but the haystack area actually looks very, very intriguing. And we did some prospecting over here, and I posted a picture of one of the subcrops that we found. Um, Again, it's like B-type porphyry veins that would be characteristic of the potassic zone of a porphyry system. So what is the potassic zone doing here, right? And why didn't hole 21 hit better grades, right? But you listen to Warren Pratt in this video, and also and some other things that he said to us. And he actually was really jazzed up by hole 21 and just thinks it wasn't an optimal drill angle, and this area should be tested more. I showed the picture on my X of the silica hematite porphyry leach cap with quartz veins and subcrops. So silica hematite is what happens to copper sulfides after they've been exposed to oxygen and water, and the copper has been leached out. It turns into silica hematite. But again, this is all characteristic of tremendous magma flows, volcanic events, uh, the andesite, volcanic country rock. And yeah, the haystack area looks very interesting. We talked about transition from high chargeability to moderate chargeability, the porphyry corridor. And another, question that I had, like always, like, why is this area also lit up in copper and soils? You got the skarn over here. I mean, the copper in this area looks really strong. And the answer is that actually the lower plate daylights in certain parts over here to the southeast. So you don't have that rhyolite or the red conglomerate as prominent over here. And so some of that lower plate has been exposed and some of the copper has obviously been leached out. That has spread here into, the soils of this area. But obviously over here, when you have the rhyolite and then the red conglomerate covering, basically burying the lower plate, the surface looks totally different and there's not as much copper on surface here, right? So it's more likely that the porphyry is preserved over here. The porphyry is preserved it's buried under here by multiple layers. And it's also likely, this is another key learning, that it's preserved down here under the cover. So this is going to be another area of interest. I mean, there's so many areas of interest. There's so much work to be done, but there needs to be some more investigation of the area that Hercules has here under cover to the south of Camp Creek, because maybe there's another porphyry center buried under that cover. There's no outcrop. You can't see anything at surface. There's no copper or silver in soils here because this is covered up. Um, okay. So this is just me spitballing. Just me being me. And by the way, let me just say this. I love this project. I really am intrigued by it, fascinated, probably more than any other early stage project that I've seen. And so I just watch YouTube videos, I read stuff, I just let my brain wander. And I came across the Steve Garwin video, and he's talking about Cortadera deposit in Chile. And around the 18-minute mark of the video, it's right here. Um, I'll give him a thumbs up there. I saw this, and I'm like, hold on. This looks like Belmont, maybe Haystack, Great Creek. And look at the magnetics here. So then he goes on to talk about the magnetics signature. Where is that? Mm-mm-mm. Here. Separate magnetic highs associated with copper mineralization. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Hmm. Magnetic highs associated with copper. I don't know. This is just me making stuff up. This porphyry deposit is like 500 million tons at about 0.45% copper grade. Pretty good porphyry. Um, and open at depth. I mean, I don't know the latest on Cortadera. But this video is where, I mean, this, I love Garwin. He's super sharp. I mean, he's above my head in terms of the science. Obviously, he's a PhD, but I understand a lot of what he says, and I learn something every time I watch a video. But obviously, he's a super world class master on this subject, and we're all just trying to pick up some breadcrumbs from his uh, his videos and all that he offers out there. So I saw this and I'm like, wow, this looks like Hercules. This is a pretty good analog. Um, Here's some stuff that I'm just looking at. Okay, this is just me searching around um, supergene and hypogene in a porphyry deposit in Iran. Some really good stuff to read here and learn about that process. We showed this video. We showed this video. This is from the 1920s. It's only like 25 pages, but this is kind of interesting because this is a couple of geos did some, recon in this area in the early 1920s. It's just interesting just to read their take on things. You can see the link there. I already showed this one. Oh yeah, I double posted it, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Right. So very positive visit. I got a lot of context. Thank you to Hercules for hosting me, for making time to show me around. A thank you to Chris for taking time to show me around. Um, oh, and one more thing, the seal of Idaho. So this means let it go on forever. It's Latin for let it go on forever. This is the seal of the state of Idaho. State of Idaho became a state in 1890, and the lady who created this seal won the competition for the state seal a year later. And look at the inset. This is the Belmont Mill in this area north of Cambridge. So this is literally the Hercules project is in the Idaho State Seal. And if you read the Idaho Constitution, a lot of it is about the resources of the state is for the benefit of the people. So it's in their constitution that they must harness the natural resources, the wealth that God has given the state of Idaho for the benefit of the people of Idaho. And I think that's a very powerful message. And so let us respect the nature, the environment, the people of the state of Idaho, and let us harness the wealth that God bestowed for the benefit of all. Thank you for your time. I hope you got some value out of this video. Again, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, subscribe to Goldfinger Capital, and talk again at some point in the future. And have a powerful trading week.